latest of our series of interviews of Euro members and colleagues across the world. This one is with Luca Dunna, the CEO of Principal Relocation, based in Rome, covering Italy. This interview was recorded on the 6th of April, so it is possible that some of the information contained may be slightly out of date by the time you watch the interview. Hello and welcome back to our series of interviews with Euros members across the world. It gives me great pleasure today to introduce you to Luca Dunna from Principal Relocation in Italy. Luca is the CEO of Principal, and let me just introduce you briefly. I know that you work across Italy, but you're based in Rome and Milan as well as Malta, right?
That's correct, yes, that's correct. Main office is in Rome, downtown Roma. And then we have an office in Milan and in Malta, Valletta.
In Valletta, which is a beautiful city.
Right.
Italy, the situation has been ongoing now for a month more when you went into lockdown. How are things in Italy now?
Well, currently we are still in quarantine, and we've been like this. We've been for over a month now, it's the situation is completely locked down, which basically all the businesses have been closed, or whoever can operate from smart mode, so working from home can do so, but everybody else had to send the employees back home, either on leave or on paid leave. The businesses that are open are the main, the essential activities, such as like pharmacies, grocery shops, and those are the ones open. But other than that, it's a complete lockdown. All activities have been stopped. So we have those marketplaces that are open from 8 in the morning, 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. Nowadays, there is the region of Lombardia and Tuscany. They've implemented that everybody has to wear masks,
Wow.
which is this is new now. May very well be implemented to the whole of country now, to the whole of Italy in the coming weeks, but. Lombardia, so the area of Milan and Tuscany, it is paramount now that if you go outside your residency, your apartments or houses, you have to wear masks. So this is again a further step in order to secure exactly the population. And as you mentioned, we've been at this for over a month now. Italy has been the country where this virus has hit the most, and the numbers are over. I think it's 125 total of infected in total, and the deaths. So it's something that our government, and thankfully for that, has taken on very seriously, and we can see that as the days, the weeks have gone by, the population has taken this very seriously. And, at the beginning, the local authorities were trying to send a message of, urgency. However, after the numbers had gone up, and that wasn't necessary anymore because people understood the reality of the situation. So stay at home, stay safe, and use as much, delivery online as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you are allowed to walk across the street for like 500 meters maximum, and to get your food for the day, grocery shop, or pharmacy. If you leave the house, you are to use a form which the authorities have issued. Now, mind you, the form has been updated every week or so.
Okay.
So, but you can download it on your smartphone and show it to the police people that are patrolling the streets at the moment. If you don't have a form, they will provide you with one. it's a serious situation, and the local authorities are taking this very seriously. So the fines are incredibly high, 3,000 euros, 5,000 euros. So if you do not have a valid reason to leave your house, you shouldn't be leaving at all. That's that's the majority of the situation in Italy. But again, things are, as you know, probably things are changing, and we are now looking at the numbers that have been dropping down a bit. So we are experiencing a slowdown exactly on the numbers, and hopefully this will improve or disimprove from the point of view in the coming weeks. People are feeling that there is light at the end of the tunnel. However, no one is daring to leave the house or anything like that, and which is very good, even though it's sunny out there. And the Italian people have a way of going out and the bars and the coffee and whatever. But at the moment, and this is again very good to see that everybody has embraced that, except for very small occasions where people, but that happens everywhere. Absolutely. But I am extremely happy to see that my country, fellow people have understood the seriousness of the situation, and they're staying at home.
I mean, I have to say, it's given that this has gone on for so long in Italy, and obviously we've seen the images of how the country has had to respond, and the sheer idea of the shutdown when it first came. It was Italy that did it first after China, and I mean the shock to the people of Italy initially must have been huge. I mean, like you say, now everyone's understands the gravity of it and are obeying what the authorities have put in place. But for a country so free and so liberal as Italy, where your life is lived outdoors, your life is lived in the parks, it's lived in the bars, it's lived in the streets, that must have been so tough.
Well, I know everybody's living that. Everybody is going through this now, and but there is a psychological side to it. I mean, we are very much outdoor people, and this is really hitting us to our very core. But again, Dom, this is really serious. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm in the house with my kids, my partner, so I am enjoying in a way, some time with them. But it's we should be really thankful to be safe and in the house. And we, the kids, we all complain because it's natural, it's physiological. After a while, staying in a confined space. But everybody is working out something. Now, you may have seen people are gathering around 6 p.m. every day in the rooftops, and somebody brings guitars or any means of communication is accepted, even dishes sometimes. And we all sing outside, and obviously we maintain distances because you have to imagine this happens from one building to another, and so there is no congregations. But somebody might be bringing a flag, or somebody else might be putting on music on a speaker. So I've never seen anything like this. I know it's happening across Europe and around the world, but to see it happening, with your neighbors that you might not have even spoken to before, because that we were so used to everything fast. And nowadays, you are forced to take your time and look around and spend, a few minutes with your neighbors across the street. And, hey, how's it going? So this is nice. This is bringing us to a place where, we haven't been before. And so we are forced. Obviously, the circumstances are terrific, but what may come out of it, it's a side that I haven't seen it before. And, Italian people will have to cope on just like the other ones, and just like everybody else. And we'll make the most out of it.
I mean, it's so it is. It has been incredible to see those pictures and just to see the way that people are coming together in what is just such a bizarre and surreal time for us all. I wanted to ask you about. You said obviously you're working from home. How was that process? Because the lockdown came very quickly. Were you able to put your contingency plans in place with your teams in time?
Yeah. We were only after receiving our iOS certification, so we had done our due diligence just then. So in a way, we were lucky because we were just out of training,
Right.
And we managed to move into our contingency plan immediately. It was a smooth transition, really. So I remember it was over the weekend, it was the 26th or 27th of February, that it was all happening in Milan, area nearby Milan. So we remember it was a weekend, and I was talking to the supply chain. It's like, folks, it doesn't feel right, going to work. And then all of a sudden it was just physiological. We decided to implement our contingency plan, business continuity plan. And from Monday, everybody started to work from home. And because of VoIP technology, it was really seamless. Everybody was able to work from home just like if they were in the office. So clients would be calling in, and you will just pick up from your extension. So from that point of view, it wasn't a shock. What really was challenging to cope on with were, the daily briefings and to organize that, because of course you have a plan. But one thing is to have a script, and the other thing is to implement it. So, there is a human side to it. And while all this is happening, you're trying to keep everything together because you don't know whether someone from your staff or supply chain management has been, infected, or some other, might be one of their families got involved with the virus. So you're trying to keep everything together and processing all the information. But I have to say that the team has done an excellent job. Patricia, our operation director, she did it, and Erica, everybody, the administration ladies, Nicoletta, everybody from the team soldiered on, and to this day we are still working as much as possible, thinking that it's business as usual, but it's not, obviously. But from that point of view, just from a technical point of view, implementing the business continuity plan was seamless. It was really a smooth process. So I don't know how I could have done it without it, but having it was just very was essential.
It's so interesting because everybody I've spoken to has said that knowing that it could be implemented. I mean, the thing is, though, it's a bit like insurance. You have it, but you hope you'll never need it, and then suddenly you did. And because, of course, this started because you have a base in Milan. I guess that had to happen so quickly, and then you were able to implement the rest of it, further down to your operations in Rome.
Yes, exactly. Because they had to go first onto working from home. And in Rome, we thought, it's so early stage, you don't even understand the complexity behind it. And so we thought, okay, we might have time. We might not have to do that. And we spent 2 or 3 days considering it. But then the government stepped in and said, folks, this is as serious as it gets. So everybody across the country, and that was a shock now, because we knew that it was in the area of Milan, it was in the north, but up until that moment, nothing was happening in the south. So the government coming up and saying, folks, from tomorrow, it's a complete lockdown, you know there is something going on there. So we implemented it, and we were able to operate ever since. But now I can, we have recovered from the shock, and I can say that they've done an incredible job, the government and the authorities. We all talk about the Italian government, and in a way that sometimes they're not efficient. But I have to say now they showed some proper efficiency.
I mean, like I said before, the response I think has been incredible, and in a way, the rest of Europe really has a great deal of thanks to give to Italy, because it was Italy and the authorities in Italy who put this in place so quickly and so fast. And then other countries, I mean, in the UK, for example, the week before we put lockdown in place, the government was still talking about the herd immunity approach, just, let herd immunity happen. And everybody who's been studying Italy, all the professors and all the director of the chief of the NHS are saying, we have to do what they've done. We have to do what Italy've done. So, we all owe you a debt of gratitude for that. Sorry, go on.
No. But it's we received so many calls and emails also from friends and people that we work with, and even Euro members. And how's it going? How you, checking up on us? And we were like, this is happening. We hope that it never gets to you, but if it does, please stay at home. Implement a business continuity plan as soon as possible, because it's like a fire that spreads. But I can see now that everybody across Europe is doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to ask you, so in terms of your team, and it's so nice to hear everybody I've interviewed has just said, the teams have just stepped right up and just, done. How are you guys all staying positive, a month into this?
Well, it's thanks to the team. It's thanks to the people that they on a daily basis work together. We are, now we are apart, but we still work together. And I'm so proud and thankful for the team, because they were able to understand the circumstances, and because there are so many variables involved. It's not just the professionalism involved, but you have to consider that jobs could be a risk, and you do not know what's happening in a week from now. So many factors had to be considered when we were organizing the business continuity plan and the programming the weeks to come. But everybody decided to stay on board, to help where possible, and every single one of them stepped in. There's also thanks for the government again, because they are implementing some financial aid to companies.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, well, that had to be considered, because we can be as good, as nice as we want, but if you're then worried about your financial situation, that is something else, So the fact that the government decided to help companies, medium, small companies, in a sense that, for instance, if you have stopped your invoicing altogether, so you have an issue of cash flow, the government will pay for the salary of the employees. For now, they told us for 2 months and a half, they will cover the salaries up to 80% of the salaries for 2.5 months. And then they're already discussing, which is probably between today and tomorrow, they will come up with a new scheme where they will prolong this period of time. So you see, that puts it easy, because you know that even if you have a cash flow problem, the government will step in, the state will step in and pay for those wages. And there's no there are no tax rates or anything like that. You won't have to pay anything extra on that. So this is the first time that I probably understand why we pay so many taxes, because in the moment as such, the government really is helping us a lot in this. So that has put us at ease, and we were able to communicate that to our staff members. And it just became natural that we all helped each other. And we organize, well, Patricia has come up with the, every week we organize around 5 o'clock a remote drinking session.
Brilliant.
And has to be done.
That's great. That's
and
really great.
Aperitivo, as we call it.
Uh-huh.
So this is a moment where we do not talk about a business or anything like that. We just, plain discussing, chat, and again, on a daily basis, we keep in touch. We have briefings with the supply chain management, and we, on a daily basis, discuss with staff. So no one has been left out, and we have to consider also the psychological effect, which I was mentioning earlier, because being locked for so long, and it does have an effect on your state of mind. So people may easily fall into a depression mode, and I'm not talking about the staff, but this is general.
Absolutely.
So we did consider that when we were adapting our service delivery model, because nowadays you have people stranded at home and they do not know how to communicate, they don't speak the language. So we are the only point of contact. So although we send information, emails, newsletters, but we also call on a daily basis to make sure, how's it going? Is everything all right? There are people with kids, so you might send them little things, activities for the kids, virtual tour of the museums or anything like that, really. But anything to keep them busy. And that's the same thing we've done for the staff. Anything, we've done training sections and creating moments where, you are busy. On a day, you're busy. There's something you're doing. Then if you feel that day you just had enough, and you're just off the grid, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. But that's how we are approaching it. It's not the best, I don't know, but it's we are adapting to the situation at the moment.
I think there are two. That's really interesting to hear, and there are two things about that really strike me. I think for most people that I've spoken to, the initial psychological stress of this was, how am I going to make my company work going forward? Because we know that when this ends, and it will end, mobility is going to be so central to the rebuilding of commerce and economies that you need your teams in place and still motivated. Absolutely. So I'm so pleased to hear that Italy, the UK has the very similar thing with the 80% salary top up. I was talking to some colleagues in the US, and they're way behind on that, and they're placing the responsibility on the lenders to continue lending money to companies to get them through this. So it's very interesting how our governments in Europe have used these financial stimuli to actually reduce the stress. It's bad enough that we're all stuck inside, but at least that is one thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But that makes all the difference. You said it right. It does makes a difference. I've been working with my team for many years now. We enjoy the same thing for many years now. So we know each other. They know me when I'm stressed. And boy, have I been stressed now. But there is a stress and there is desperation. Yeah. So I am, in a way, I am thankful to my government, because it has allowed me to communicate hope to the rest of the team. Because it's at the end of the day, it comes down to that. And like you said, eventually global mobility will be called to pick up the pieces of this, and we have to be ready to do it. And I'm sure that and the incredible job, allow me to say it, you guys are doing it. Allowing everybody to communicate their experience. So I was able to also not feel so alone in this situation, because same things are happening all over the place. And like I mentioned earlier, I spoke to one of our colleagues in Spain this morning, and it was really refreshing to discuss with somebody. The same situation, however, different environment. So it's not just us, it's everybody. And I believe that the industry will make a difference at the end of the day. We have to stay together. And it's not just a way of saying it, but it is really, we have to stick together, because only together we can make it. Otherwise, it could be potentially an issue.
I completely agree. I think that, I mean, from my point of view, when this really became apparent for us in the UK back in the second week of March, it was communication and connection that kept all of us going. Speaking to people, speaking to Euro members, talking with each other, using WhatsApp. I mean, it's never been so busy, but it's those connections that are going to get us through this, that shared commonality, the shared experience, and it's it's going to be.
I cannot wait to for the Euro 2021 because I cannot wait to actually physically hug people and shake hands again. Yeah. I've never been looking forward to anything like this before, but more so because, as I said earlier, people are showed that we are a community. Receiving calls and emails when it wasn't supposed to happen, it makes a difference. Even this morning, somebody else from the UK reached out, just a simple note, hey, how's it going? Didn't have to do it, but it's a big thing. It's really appreciated. So, the Euro has come true in a way, and principle will do the part as well if we are called. And I believe you guys, with being so informative, are making the difference. I learned situations in France and in Austria and in Canada. Amazing stuff. Thank you for that.
That's incredibly kind of you to say. It's much appreciated. In fact, after this, I'm on doing another interview right now with the new CEO of the WERC, and Steve Crine again in Canada, who you just mentioned. Because again, we want to have a strategy of working together to support our industry, our amazing industry, with people like yourself in it.
Exactly.
So, thank you. It's been a real pleasure, Luca. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Don, thank you for inviting me.
I'd love to catch up with you again in a few weeks' time when hopefully the curve in Italy will have started to flatten, and we'll catch up then. But it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much, Luca. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you,
Take
Don.
care. Stay well. Stay safe.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.